Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my top 5 favorite / most worn soccer cleats or football boots of 2015. Now, before we get into the video, I want to make things very clear about what this title actually means. My top 5 favorite / most worn. Now, a lot of you guys ask what my favorite soccer shoe is, and I've been pretty clear about that. Throughout 2015, my favorite was the Nike TIEMPO Legend 5, and then right at the end of the year with the release of the Legend 6, that's my new favorite. With that being said, I'm in a position where I've had the opportunity to wear pretty much every single high-end shoe that's come out in the last couple of years. So I've been exposed to everything. I have a good idea of what everything feels like. And because I've been able to try everything out, I've developed preferences that I didn't necessarily know that I had. So instead of just saying this style of shoe is my favorite, I thought I'd make a video sharing the top 5 most worn shoes throughout 2015 for myself personally, because it's one thing to say that I like something, but for me, the way that I made the picks for this video is I picked the 5 shoes that I wore more than anything else this year, not just because I was testing them, but because I really wanted to wear them even after the testing was done, mainly because I liked how they felt or liked something in particular about that shoe. So that's kind of what this video is about. It's not necessarily my favorite shoes of the year, but more so the shoes that I wore more than anything else, which in my opinion would indicate my favorite. So with that being said, let's get into my top 5 favorite / most worn shoes of 2015. The first shoe that I have to talk about isn't actually in the top 5. So if it was a top 6, it'd be the 6th position, but for the sake of this video, I guess it's an honorable mention. And what I'm talking about is the PUMA EVOSPEED 1.4 SL. Now, this is a shoe that if you watch my Best of 2015 series, won most controversial shoe of the year, and there's a very, very good reason for that. It's only expected to last 10 games, and that estimation is pretty accurate. In fact, the 2 pairs that I actually wore and broke didn't actually last 10 uses or 10 games. So like I said, your mileage will vary with this particular shoe. I can't really say how long or how little they'll last, but I can tell you they're likely not going to last very long. With that being said, this is a shoe that I brought in, didn't expect too much of it. I knew it was going to be very, very light, and that's very impressive. Obviously, the 99-gram ADIDAS came out this year as well, but it was limited to 500 pairs, so most people didn't get their hands on them, whereas the EVOSPEED 1.4 SL was a general release. You can go buy them right now. The problem is it's a very expensive shoe, especially for something that's only expected to last 10 games. So for that reason, it was very controversial, and most people who perhaps wanted to try them out didn't get to because it just isn't worth it. Is it worth it based on my experience with the shoe? I really like them. It's a very, very fun shoe to wear, but you kind of have to be able to justify the price tag for yourself. You can get the original colorways on sale now, and I guess if the price is low enough for you, it's worth it. But again, that's going to be something that you have to justify on your own. The main reason why this shoe makes my list of kind of a favorite, if you will, is because of the experience that it has to offer. It's right around the 3-ounce mark, which is way, way, way lighter than pretty much anything else out there. One of the lightest shoes on the market at the moment is the Nike MERCURIal Vapor 10, and this essentially is half the weight. I'm personally not somebody who is all that worried about ounces on my feet, whether the shoe is 6, 7, 8 ounces. That's not something that I really focus on when I'm playing or even really notice all that much. But when you go from 6 ounces to 3 ounces, the weight difference is very noticeable, and it really does add to the experience. It's truly like not wearing shoes. And while there obviously are shoes on your feet, because they are so light, it makes your feet feel lighter than they actually are, which obviously is not the case, but that's just the power of your mind, I suppose, in terms of when you wear something this light. Also, to my surprise, these shoes are very comfortable. The traction was very good. As far as the stud pressure is concerned, if you're playing on less than ideal kind of natural grass fields, there is some stud pressure due to the actual very, very thin sole plate. But like I said, the experience of wearing these things is absolutely fantastic. The only downside, as I mentioned, which makes this shoe controversial, is that they don't last very long. Now, there is an SLS model coming out of this particular shoe that's supposed to be more durable. I'm not sure how much heavier it's going to be, if at all. But as soon as those are available, I will be bringing them in. I'm very, very excited to try those things out. But like I said, if you can find these things for cheap enough and you can justify the price tag knowing that they're not going to last very long, the experience of wearing an EVOSPEED 1.4 SL is absolutely amazing, and why this shoe gets an honorable mention on my list. The only reason why it didn't make the list is because the two pairs that I went through didn't last long enough. So in terms of actual wear time, this is the 6th most worn shoe of 2015. It would have been higher up, but like I said, they just didn't last long enough. The 5th spot on my list goes to the Nike Mercurial Vapor 10 in the kangaroo leather Techcraft variation as my 5th most worn shoe of 2015. Now, if you've been a fan of the Mercurial Vapor for any significant amount of time, you know that the Vapor 1, we got a kangaroo leather version, but since then, that has not been the case. So it's really been the dream to have a premium leather version of the Vapor for a long time now. And in 2015, we finally got that in the form of the Vapor 10 as part of the Techcraft pack, which is a very interesting release and just a cool modification of already very popular shoes from Nike that some of them are better than others. I definitely will be honest with that. But in the case of the Vapor 10, they did it justice in terms of what a leather Vapor could be. What people really like about the Mercurial line, including myself, is one, the way it fits. It fits unlike any other shoe. There's no extra space on the inside whatsoever. It's a tight fit, which obviously some people don't like. And obviously the shoe is going to be very thin due to that tight fit, just because of the type of synthetic that they tend to use on this particular line. So with the Techcraft model, what I was really hoping for prior to actually having these things in my hand is that the upper would be straight up leather, as opposed to a lot of the Techcraft pack where it's just a standard synthetic upper with a layer of leather on top. That is not the case with the Techcraft Vapor. The upper is straight up, super thin, super soft kangaroo leather. The quality is absolutely fantastic, and you're able to get that super tight mercurial shape, mercurial feel and fit from the shoe, but also maintain that kangaroo leather upper feel. Does this feel like a Legend 6? Does this feel like a Copa Mundial? Absolutely not. The leather is very thin and really doesn't provide much in the way of padding whatsoever, but you still get the comfort, you still get the flexibility, you still get the softness that you would want from a premium leather shoe, but again, while still maintaining the Mercurial slim profile as well as the Mercurial sole plate and stud pattern, which is a lot more aggressive than what you're going to find from most traditionally styled shoes that have a soft kangaroo leather upper. So for me, that was a recipe for a shoe that I really, really enjoyed wearing. The fit is great, the comfort is great. It has that mercurial fit, which I really, really like. And it's just a great performer overall. Is this a better shoe in comparison to the synthetic version of the Vapor 10? No, it's a different shoe. In terms of responsiveness, the regular Vapor 10 does take the cake. It's also going to be a little bit lighter as well, just because synthetic is thinner and it's just going to be more responsive. It doesn't have the same stretch to it. It's going to lock your foot in place better than a leather is going to be capable of. But that's not necessarily all that's important at the end of the day. If you want something that I would argue is a little bit more comfortable, or you just want a super tight kind of modern fit and feel from your shoes, but you still want that classic kangaroo leather feel, that's exactly what you get from the Nike Mercurial Vapor 10, and really the reason why it was my 5th most worn shoe of 2015. Really enjoy wearing them, will continue to enjoy wearing them, and it's just a great shoe overall. The number 4 spot on my list goes to the PUMA EVOSPEED 1.4. This is a shoe that really was not on my radar at all. The last couple EVOSPEED models I've been less than impressed with. So with the EVOSPEED 1.4, given how similar it looks to the 1.3, again, I wasn't expecting much of it, but once I actually got the shoe in my hands and was able to feel the synthetic, put them on my feet, wear them, I was really, really impressed with this particular model. If you are going to ask me to wear a thin synthetic shoe right now, it's going to be the EVOSPEED 1.4. I love how it fits. I love how it feels. The quality of the synthetic is fantastic. It's thin, but not too thin. It has a very, very slight kind of spongy sensation to it. The kind of PUMA anatomical shape to it, I really, really like. It has a tight fit where there's really no extra space on the inside, but it's not super narrow. It has a little bit of width to it, but again, doesn't necessarily feel like you're sliding around on the inside of the shoe. It's just a very unique type of fit and feel for a thin synthetic model, which is really what the EVOSPEED line has always been about. But this is really the first time that they've executed it properly to the point where I really enjoy wearing it. So like I said, this is one of those shoes that I wore a lot in 2015, much more so than I was expecting. They feel light on your feet, which is obviously a plus. It's not the lightest shoe money can buy, but it definitely is one of the lighter options out there at the moment. I'm a really big fan of this particular sole plate and stud pattern, which remains unchanged from the last couple of EVOSPEED models. But again, you don't really get to enjoy the sole plate and the stud pattern if the upper isn't up to par, which is not the case with the EVOSPEED 1.4. It's a comfortable shoe, the traction is aggressive, it's responsive, it offers a great touch on the ball, it's nice and comfortable, the fit is great, and again, there just really isn't much to complain about with this particular shoe. It's also one of those shoes that, because of its lack of popularity, is on sale in pretty much every single colorway aside from the most recent one. So if you're looking for a really good bargain on a pair of high-end shoes, this is going to be one of the best bang for your buck models in terms of being able to get the original colors at pretty much half price from the full retail. So really, really good deal, really, really good shoe, and that's really the reason why it was my fourth most worn shoe of 2015. The 3 spot on my list goes to the Under Armour CLUTCHFIT Force, the original. The second one is very good. I would argue is actually better than the original, but because it came out later in the year, it's not actually a shoe that I put a lot of time into thus far, but that will be changing throughout 2016. For the original CLUTCHFIT, this shoe I believe actually came out in 2014, so it's not a new release in 2015, but it's a shoe that throughout the entire year I still found myself coming back to over and over again for several different reasons. The first reason why is this shoe is remarkably comfortable. Not only does it have a really interesting upper in this CLUTCHFIT synthetic that is slightly elasticated, so when you put it on your foot and pull the laces tight, the upper kind of stretches and wraps around your foot almost perfectly, kind of eliminating the need for break-in time. And for me, that's really one of the big reasons for a lot of these shoes being in my top 5, is because when I go out to test shoes, I have to have shoes as backups, because when you're wearing something brand new, after an hour, after 2 hours, after 20 minutes sometimes, you can experience discomfort. So in order to avoid blisters, in order to avoid discomfort, you have to take those shoes off and put on something that feels comfortable. And this is a shoe that is consistently comfortable without any break-in time. A lot of shoes, you can wear them a lot, put them away for a month, and then when you go back to wear them again, they almost need to be rebroken in. That is not the case here with the Under Armour CLUTCHFIT, because like I said, the upper has this really strange elasticated quality to it that I find really, really enjoyable and very comfortable to wear. Another reason why I really like this shoe is because of the Micro G and 4D foam insole. The amount of underfoot cushioning that this shoe provides is really remarkable. It's almost like wearing a pair of running shoes with studs under your feet that obviously don't have a lot of extra bulk. This insole that they have in here, like I said, just provides more cushioning than you could ever expect from a pair of soccer shoe insoles. It's remarkably comfortable, and because I picked up a heel injury this summer playing, this is a shoe that I found myself wearing kind of half injured, just because that little bit of heel cushioning really did help me out with the bruised heel that I had. And like I said, this was a very comfortable shoe for me to wear. The stud pattern works great. I also really like the upper in that it has a slightly rubbery texturing to it, so you get a little bit of additional grip on the ball that you probably wouldn't get from any other kind of thin synthetic shoe out there, although this isn't particularly thin. But again, comfortable shoe. That's really the main reason why it's on this list. It's the main reason why I wore it so much. And if you haven't watched my videos, I've said this plenty of times, but Under Armour is a very underrated brand. All their top-end models over 2015 up until now have been very, very good. Even in 2014, they had some really stellar shoes. So for me, Under Armour CLUTCHFIT Force, that is my number 3 pick for most worn or favorite shoe of 2015. The number 2 spot on my list goes to the Adidas Predator Instinct, another shoe that technically came out in 2014, but I wore very consistently throughout 2015, and still to this day, this is one of those shoes that if I'm carrying around a soccer bag, it's probably going to be in there as a backup, because I really, really like wearing the Pred Instinct. This is probably my most missed shoe of 2015 in terms of it being discontinued, and Adidas not really giving us anything like this shoe whatsoever, other than the A16 Plus Techers that I would argue is not as good and is technically only made for turf/artificial grass. So it's not really a true replacement for the Predator Instinct or the Predator line in general. Again, I think the rebranding thing from Adidas was a good thing in the long run. It definitely got them some attention, and the products that they came up with to replace their prior lines have been good shoes. I think that the demand for a shoe like the Predator Instinct is not really there anymore, which is the main reason why they did end up eliminating it. But for me, I really am a big fan of the Pred Instinct. The feel that it provides is unlike anything else out there at the moment, or really anything else before it, I guess, other than the LZ models, although they're not quite as good in my opinion. What I really, really like about this shoe, and the main reason why I continue to wear them, is the amount of grip that it provides on the ball. All of these predator elements, or lethal zones if you want to call them that, provide so much extra grip on the ball that it gives you this sensation of control. And it's not to say that it's going to improve your control, because no shoe will do that. But once you get used to wearing these things, the amount of grip and the ease that you can kind of manipulate the spin of the ball because of all that extra grip is a very, very satisfying sensation that I really enjoy, and the main reason why I keep coming back to the Predator Instinct. The sole plate and the stud pattern, honestly, I'm not all that crazy about, but because of the feel of the upper, because of how comfortable this shoe is, because of all the grip that it provides on the ball, I kind of ignore that fact about the shoe, and I just wear them because it's one of those shoes, like I said, I just can't get enough of. What I like about this shoe, what's kind of interesting about it, is that once you actually get used to how they feel, and then you go to wear something without all the extra grip, which is pretty much anything else out there, you feel like you've lost something, and that's what makes this shoe memorable to me. It has such a distinctive feel that I always want to go back and just remind myself of what it feels like. So that's why I always keep it in my bag, and that's why I wear it pretty consistently when I'm not testing out shoes, just because I really, really enjoy the experience of wearing them, and that's kind of the best way to describe it. So the Predator Instinct, a lot of you guys have tried them out. There still are a few pairs floating around. They haven't all been sold as of yet, but if you're in for a unique experience and you don't necessarily mind something that's not the latest and greatest model, the Predator Instinct is one of those shoes that I can very, very strongly recommend, although I will say it certainly isn't for everybody because of its unique feel. Finally, as my most worn shoe of 2015, I technically have to split it between two models, but it's not going to surprise anybody. The most worn shoe is definitely the Legend 5 in terms of just actual hours of wearing them, because it obviously was, again, not a new release in 2015. It came out prior to that, but a shoe that was my favorite shoe of 2014 and remained my favorite shoe of 2015 for the majority of the year up until pretty much the very last month, where the release of the Legend 6 came. And this is kind of my new personal favorite, and a shoe that I've been wearing a lot since its initial release. And like I said, these two shoes I've worn more than pretty much anything else out there. Really, really big fan of both of them. The Legend 5 is great in that it's just a very simple, no-nonsense shoe. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I carry around extra shoes that are already broken in that I'm comfortable wearing when I'm bringing new shoes to test out, because you don't know if you're going to run into issues with discomfort. Breaking in shoes, you kind of have to take it slowly. So if you start to feel discomfort, you don't want to just end your session. You're going to swap out shoes and put on something that you know feels comfortable. So for me, the Legend 5 is that shoe without a doubt. It's a shoe that, for me, I can put them on, I'm instantly comfortable. I don't have to worry about blisters. I don't have to worry about anything. It's a no-nonsense shoe. It's consistent in terms of the touch that it provides, and there's just nothing to get used to. I put them on and everything feels right. So that's why I really, really enjoy wearing them. With the release of the Legend 6, I get all of that plus the benefit of the extra reinforcement that they've incorporated with this internal support cage. So it's just as comfortable, it's just as high quality, it's just as good in pretty much every single aspect as the TIEMPO Legend 5, but it's more responsive as well. So in terms of just outright performance, it technically is a better shoe, but again, that would not deter me from wearing the Legend 5 again. I probably will wear them a little bit more throughout 2015 and kind of go back and forth between these. But for me right now, the Legend 6, if you want a kangaroo leather style shoe, it really is the best of the best in terms of what's out there right now, and you absolutely cannot go wrong. There's a good reason why everybody is absolutely loving this shoe. It really is that good. And like I've said many times on my channel since its initial release, this is my personal favorite shoe at the moment and for the foreseeable future. So again, my most worn shoe of 2015 definitely is the Legend 5, but since then has been replaced by the Nike TIEMPO Legend 6. So both very good shoes, cannot go wrong with any of the shoes on my list. And like I said, strongly recommended. Legend 5 or Legend 6, absolutely cannot go wrong. All right, guys, that is it for my top 5 favorite / most worn shoes of 2015. Hopefully you found this video interesting. I certainly did. When I really made this list and thought about what shoes I wore more than anything else this year, some of the shoes that ended up being on that list were kind of surprising to me as well. I've said on this channel many times that I generally tend to prefer leather shoes that are more simple in design, kind of a no-nonsense style boot. But as you guys can see by what I wore more than anything this year, a lot of the shoes were thin synthetic models, which I often say in the comments that I don't like all that much, but based on what I wore more than anything throughout 2015, that might not necessarily be true. So that's it for my video, guys. Hopefully you found it enjoyable and entertaining. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. If you have any questions regarding my picks or what your top 5 favorite shoes of 2015 were, leave those down below in the comment section. If you have a question, I'll answer it. If you have any just kind of comments of your own, we'll kind of get a bit of a discussion going and we can see how everyone's picks differ from each other, because ultimately, as I preach every single day on this channel, you should be picking your shoes based on your own personal preferences. What I like, what that guy likes, what somebody over there likes doesn't really matter, because you have to like it, you have to wear it. So again, your preferences take priority when it comes to picking out a brand new pair of shoes. With that being said, if you're not subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.